You saw the Chappelle SNL thing? What's your take?
Yes, I did. Well, it's interesting because on one hand, I thought that it was brilliant. It was comedic brilliance on his part from the way he opened his show to his comments about Kanye and Kyrie. Obviously, to his comments about Trump being an honest liar. And obviously, if we're being totally honest, when he was saying that there were a lot of Jewish folks in Hollywood, you laughed about it, and then all of a sudden you saw the Anti-Defamation League, how they felt about it. They educated you as to why they felt the way that they felt about it. And then you listen to your opening monologue and obvious brilliance that you articulated in terms of what the Jewish community had to go to and why they are in Hollywood and where they were not allowed compared to where they were allowed. And then it harkened me back to an experience that I had with a colleague one time where me, as an African American, I literally sat in front of him and told him that I applaud, and I think most Black folks applaud the fact that the Jewish community is a together community. And as Black folks, we wish that we would come together more. And then my colleague explained to me why that could come across as offensive to a lot of people within the Jewish community. And so when I received that level of education, all of a sudden I was enlightened and I changed course because I had no idea it was offensive. So what I peel from the comedic brilliance that Dave Chappelle articulated and disseminated last night was the fact that whether you liked and thought it was brilliant what he said or whether you were offended by it, as you would say, it's a teachable moment for all of us to really inhale and comprehend and understand what's offensive to a community like the Jewish community, why those things are offensive, and that's how we learn from it so we avoid doing those things in the future. If these things did not transpire, we wouldn't be in a position where it's a teachable moment because we'd have nothing to learn from because people would be hiding what they felt or what they laughed about or what they had to say, et cetera, et cetera. And we'd never learn anything. We just go in our quiet corners and believe what we believe, ignorantly, I might add, and that would ultimately do harm in the future. So I'm glad that we're talking about it and that we're learning from it.
Yeah, to me, I think it goes to the category of what we refer to sometimes as, the disinfectant light of truth. Let these things be said. Let them be rejected or applauded and let the conversation happen. Otherwise, I think it is harder to get to a better place. Now, that takes us to what set Chappelle up, which is what we saw with Kyrie Irving and before him, Kanye West. Now, Kyrie Irving is still not playing, even though the commissioner met with him and said, I don't think he's anti-Semitic. The head of his team says, I don't think he's anti-Semitic. Well, then what are we doing here? Not quite yet. It's fluid. He hasn't said he's sorry enough yet. What's the standard here? What do you think the right way to handle it is?
Well, the right way for him is what I anticipate will happen is that he will have served his suspension, and when the Brooklyn Nets come back from their road trip, which is soon, then he'll play in those games. They weren't going to send him out to meet them in L.A. to go up against the Los Angeles Lakers, even though they could have used the service since they got beat down the other night. But the reality of the situation is that when you took the link and you put it on your Twitter account, and it's a link to a movie that brings into question the Holocaust, that's problematic. That was complimentary in any way of Adolf Hitler. That's a problem. And so when you have an opportunity to apologize and then you're reluctant and apprehensive about doing so, that's a very damning statement against you, which is why the suspension ultimately came down. As he sat down and talked to the commissioner who's known Kyrie Irving for a decade, swore by what he is. He didn't applaud what he did. He found it reprehensible, but nevertheless acknowledged that Kyrie Irving had made a mistake and admitted to such. The Brooklyn ownership, Joe Tsai, acknowledged the same thing. My position was, okay, so ultimately he did apologize. You did suspend him. You did cost him money. You did correct the error of his ways. There is no doubt about that. All right, let's move on, because you would be forgiving to a lot of other people. We've seen a lot of things transpire in the world of sports where people have made mistakes and they've ultimately been forgiven, even once they apologize, albeit reluctantly. And if that is the policy that's been consistent as we look throughout the sports world, why should it be any different for Kyrie Irving? So I was in support of him getting suspended. I was in support of him being reprimanded. But I also called upon everybody to show a level of compassion and forgiveness that's consistent with what they've done for others in the past. And I stand by that.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.